Welcome to the OSI brand's best practices for applying the OSI Quad window and door system for a brick mold door. First, expose the rough opening by cutting the WRB around the edges and remove it. Then, cut the WRB at a 45-degree angle at the head and side jamb joints on each side. Now, temporarily fasten the top flap with a piece of tape. Then, cut the WRB a minimum of 1 to 1 1/4 inches away from the rough opening sides to expose the sheathing. If you are not able to install the door within 24 hours, you will need to secure the free hanging edges of the WRB so it doesn't tear loose in the wind. One of the ways to do this is to apply flashing tape to the edge of the WRB so that it overlaps a minimum of 1 inch. Then wrap it into the rough opening, securing the WRB to the sheathing. Now, install the pre-cut flashing tape at the sill. Center the flashing at the sill, making sure it extends to the width of the side jamb flashing that will be installed on each side. Then use the J-roller to remove any air pockets. Next, check the floor for level. Make any necessary corrections if needed. Now, insert the new door into the rough opening to be sure it fits properly. Once you are certain the door fits correctly, you can take it out until it's time to install. Because most doors do not have mounting flanges at the sill, most door manufacturers require a rigid sill pan. Make sure you follow the door manufacturer's instructions for rigid sill requirements. In this case, dry fit the sill pan before installing. Then, apply 3 continuous bedding beads of OSI Quad Maxx, 3/8 inch or larger, to the subfloor. Now, apply a bead to the face of the rough opening, so it will align with the downturned leg of the sill pan when it's put into position. Now, install the rigid sill pan according to the manufacturer's instructions. Next, apply a generous bead of OSI Quad Maxx to seal off the end dams. Then tool the sealant with a putty knife, pressing the sealant over the fastener heads and other openings to eliminate bubbles, voids, and breaks, and ensure a watertight seal. Install the pre-cut flashing tape, starting with the sides. Tightly apply the flashing tape to the WRB and wall sheathing. Then use the J-roller to remove any air pockets. Now, apply the head flashing tightly to the wall sheathing, extending it at least 1 inch past the flashing tape for the side jambs. Use the J-roller to remove any air pockets. Because the door frame and brick mold joint is often not sealed at the factory, you'll need to seal it on site using OSI Quad Maxx. First, apply a fillip bead to the back side where the brick mold meets the jamb. Then, back seal all miter corners with a bead of OSI Quad Maxx. Now, apply OSI Quad Maxx as a bedding sealant to the outer edge of the brick mold with a heavy 3/8 inch rounded bead. Next, apply a bead of OSI Quad Maxx to the exterior side of the upturned leg of the rigid sill pan. This provides an air and water seal between the sill pan and the door threshold. It's time to install the door. First, set the door into the pan and make sure it's level, plumb, and square. Next, fasten the door as required by the manufacturer. Check to make sure that the sealant is in contact with the door threshold and the upturned leg of the rigid pan. A rigid head flashing is required for doors with brick mold trim. First, apply OSI Quad Maxx as a bedding sealant to the back side of the upturned leg and to the bottom of the rigid head flashing. Then set it in place and secure it with fasteners. Next, use OSI Quad Maxx to seal over the fasteners. Then apply a final layer of flashing tape that covers the upturned leg of the rigid head flashing and the sheathing. Use the J-roller to remove any air pockets. Apply a fillip bead of OSI Quad Max at the joint where the Brickmould and side flashing tape meet. This is done on both exterior sides of the door. Run a bead of sealant along the face of the head flashing. WRB joint tape or flashing tape can also be used to secure the top flap. Next, remove the temporary tape. Then pull down the top flap of the WRB, trim if necessary, and tape the seams of both 45-degree corners with flashing tape or weather-resistant barrier tape. Use the J-roller to remove any air pockets. Finally, you're ready to apply the OSI Quad foam to the interior. First, shake the can 15 to 20 times. Then screw the can to the applicator gun and open the valve. And you're ready. Use OSI Quad foam to fill any voids between the door and the framing. Apply the foam in the gaps on all 3 sides. Be sure to apply a continuous seal with no exposed shims or gaps. After 25 to 35 minutes, trim off the excess with a sharp knife. This cut time can vary depending on the temperature, humidity, and depth of the foam applied. If you would like to become an OSI certified installer using the OSI Quad window and door system, visit ositough.com.